had directors be like, moan louder. And I'm like, I don't want to moan louder. Like, I'm just moaning how I moan.
I'm wearing that badge of honor very proudly right now.
We just have so much fun, playing together.
So Eric was like, well, you could play the tambourine. And I said, I'm not playing the tambourine.
I love the love. Pay for the love.
I need to be outside. That's my office.
And really, your level of professionalism and streamlined is it's really should be applauded. You've done a great thing. Like, this is really, I looked at some of your previous interviews and really exceptional. I'm happy to be a part of the legacy you're building with Eclectic Arts.
Same.
Io penso a lei tutti i giorni. Me la sogno tutte le notti. Non dico più. Dove vai, Luca? Dove cazzo vai? Luca, apri questa porta. Luca!
Non avrò un cazzo di nessuno, vattene!
Ti piace come ballo?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts, based here in Seattle, Washington, in the United States of America. Thank you so much for joining me on this Saturday, the 30th of April, 2022, last day of April. And as always, I have a few housekeeping details to go through. One, it's nice to be back. I realized that the last live stream I did was on the 3rd of April at the beginning of this month. So it's been a minute since I've had a chance to fire up the live stream machine here and get things going. Part of that's due to all of the in-person events that I've had the pleasure of covering during the month of April. Part of that's also because I needed to take some downtime from everything, whether I wanted to or not, based on what's been going on around here. But I'm just really glad to be back, and I love doing these things. And as most people know, we're coming into May, and May of 2020 is when I actually started doing all of these live streams for the on the Alice virtual tour, which seems like it was a lifetime ago. But so we're getting close to that anniversary date of 2 years, which is kind of crazy for me to think about. But I would like to let people know that there was a live stream that was supposed to happen earlier this week, and I needed to reschedule that because I was ill, and that looks to be getting rescheduled hopefully this coming week. And there's at least 3 other ones that are pending, just waiting for the dates and times to be confirmed from publicists and managers and that type of thing. A couple of the people that I've been talking about for the last few months, this is kind of how this works in my world, folks, is that one person who's involved with the film and television industry is now in Australia shooting a film. So we had the date all figured out in April, and then everything kind of changed on him, which was not his fault. Work comes first. And so he's now in Australia filming a new movie. And so he swears we're going to get this on the schedule once he's back. But that's probably not going to be till toward the end of May at the earliest. And then my other guest is international, and he just moved, I found out. So he's in the midst of trying to kind of reestablishing himself. So all of these things are going on, but I don't give up, and I'm really looking forward to eventually getting some of these guests on the schedule. And again, in the meantime, I have other guests that are ready to go. And if you'd like to know more details about what I do have coming up, especially when they're confirmed, I post everything first on my Instagram account, which is Eclectic Arts Media, one word. So if you could please follow me there, I greatly appreciate that. And if this is your first time joining me on my YouTube channel, if you could hit that subscribe button, I greatly appreciate that. And also the notification bell, which will let you know when I have more content up. And if you're on the Twitch side of things, if you could follow me over there, that's where I started all this virtual work, is having a Twitch channel because of the fine folks with Alice. So if you could follow me there over there, that'd be great. And if you're really, really enjoying what I'm doing, I have a donation/tip link through PayPal. That's in every video description on my YouTube channel. It's also kind of hidden on the Twitch channel, but it is there. This costs me money to do every month, and so every dollar helps keep this going. And again, this is a really interesting time to have the in-person world crashing with the virtual world that I established the last 2 years. And so it's a lot to do, but I love doing it. But any kind of support is greatly appreciated. And yeah, so again, I'm just glad to be back, and it almost feels a little foreign to be talking to this this little dot over here. But let's get to things today. My guest today is a talented filmmaker from Italy. His latest film, Sissy, is a heartwarming drama based on personal experience. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts Virtual Studio, Mr. Eitan Pitigliani.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. Hi, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here and to talk about Sissy with you.
Awesome. I love talking to film folks in particular because I have no film background whatsoever. So I'm just a fan of cinema. I'm actually in the middle of a film festival right now virtually. And so when I get to talk to the talent behind the films, I'm just like all ears. I'm just totally glued into it. So let's start with Sissy. And this came from a very personal experience for yourself. Is that something? Can you please kind of let the audience know what the background is for what started Sissy in the first place?
Yes, it's a very personal story, and actually, when the audience is in the room and watches it on a big screen, they can tell right away that there's actually something very deep and profound in the story and behind the story, and that's very important for me, and means a lot to me that the audience can actually feel it from the film. And yeah, it's a story that I created after the loss of my mom. It happened not very long ago, and basically I went down the rabbit hole and I wasn't able to live in the real world without her, and I thought that my life was over and everything was like over for good. And until one day when I bumped into a 7-year-old little girl. I actually knew her, already, because I met her for the first time when she was 4, and it was actually the screening, the premiere of my previous short film, and she was in the room. She actually was scared about the big screen, and she wanted to be outside the theater. And then she convinced herself to come back in when my film was screening, and that's when I met her for the first time. And then I bumped into her again when she was 7. And she just like grabbed my hand, and she probably saw that something wasn't good with me, and that I was really, I wouldn't say depressed, I would say I was like totally off, totally shut off. And she grabbed my hand and she said, "Hey man, you gotta pull your shit together and you gotta rise up and come back to life." So I was like, "What? Can you say it again, please?" And yeah, she was magical because she was really little, 7 years old little girl. I would never think. I would have never thought that was the way for me to process the grief of and the loss and the absence of my mom. And it's thanks to this little girl, and I used that. I gave a voice to my mom through her, and she's basically the character that embodies my mom that came back to life in the shape of a 7-year-old little girl. And that was magical when I started thinking of the story. I dreamt of my mom as a little girl, and Dea, her name in Italian means goddess. Basically, the actress, she's like the perfect actress, together with the main actor Vincenzo Vivenzio, who's actually her uncle. And it's very touchy because I met her through him, and when I saw them together, I said, these guys are perfect together. Both of them are unbelievable actors, and together they made just a perfect team. So that's how I started, and I'm very proud of it.
Okay, well, first, I'm sorry for your loss of your mom.
Thank you.
Yes, and I can tell people that when I watched your film for the first time, I'm not necessarily the most openly emotional person, but I was really, really like ready to break down when I watched your film. It was so touching and so moving. So everything you just said about when the audience watches this, they can feel that's coming from a very personal place is absolutely true. And I think that emotional aspect is, it's a hard thing to capture in film sometimes, but when it's something so personal, I mean, this thing is just, it's overwhelmingly sad, but it's also beautiful at the same time.
Oh, thank you, Mark. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And
it's actually, oh, sorry, I was just overlapping.
Oh, go ahead.
No, just like you said, I mean, I feel that, I mean, when I watch a movie, when I think of a movie, I believe that there should be something real in it so that the audience can actually see it and they can see where you're coming from and that you are honest with them and you're just putting your heart up there in the screen, in the story, to share it with them. Then I wanted to go deep down, really. I wanted to go as far as I could, and I gave the grief that I was feeling, that I had been feeling before the little girl came into my life. I wanted to give it a deeper level. That's how and why the main actor lives on the street as a homeless guy, because I really care about when I bump into homeless people. I always used to talk to them. I hang out with them in LA and in Rome as well, because I mean it's a big problem, and I'm very sorry for them. I mean, there's like a whole, they're all different cases, all different people. The reasons why they decide to live on the street are very different from one another. So there's not just one homelessness, but there's so many different kinds. And I wanted to share my grief to the audience through this character that decides to live on the street because of the absence of his mom. He doesn't want to be in the real world because the real world would remind him of his life before, and he doesn't want to live his life, live in the real world without his mom. So he just wants to go as low as he can, and he decides to sleep on the street and to live on the street among the homeless, because in his mind, that's the way to feel life from like basically to live real life and to feel closer to his mom, because it's just like giving up and throwing in the towel on the real world. So he doesn't want to stick out, basically to share time with his father. He doesn't want to see his friends. He just wants to cut everyone and everything out of his life and sleep on the street among the homeless under a very special bridge that in the story basically in the story you can the audience catches that he's sleeping under a bridge that was the bridge when he used to meet his mom when he came back from the United States for the first time. He didn't want to go back home and to see anyone, but he just wanted to see her, and they used to meet secretly under that bridge, and that's the bridge that he picks and decides to sleep under when his mom is gone. So I just wanted to use something personal but still share it with other people, and that's actually something that came out in the Q&A in Cleveland, where we had a fantastic screening, and I would never be able to thank Paul Sloop enough. He was he's the programmer at the Cleveland Film Festival for short films, and he gave me the chance he made a wonderful program, and he gave me the chance to screen the film there with the American audience. And in the Q&A, he made a question, and this came out. Basically, I didn't remember at the time, but while I was filming, and I was like really all over the place. When I direct, I'm like another person, and actually there were these homeless people under the bridge that saw that we were in a deep end, and we're like trying to control all the passers-by and trying to get the best shot for the opening scene, and they just like raised up all of them, and they started helping us to keep the passers-by out the frame. And basically, going back to what I was saying, sharing the story and what's behind the film with the audience is actually you can see that actually in the way people feel your story and get close to your story, because all these people under the bridge, they were so close to the story, they were feeling so much for the story that we shared with them a few days before filming, and they just wanted to help, and they were actually doing our PAs. They were actually helping us to get the best shot. And I feel that from the very beginning, when you're honest, and when you're sharing your personal story, and when you basically when you're honest with the audience, magical things can happen. So I just like you said, I just wanted to say something more about, just like you said, it's a whole different thing when you're honest with the audience and you have something very powerful and true to share with them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it sounds like I think it's fascinating. I thank you for sharing the story about some of the homeless folks that were there while you're trying to shoot the film, that they are gravitating towards, you know, your project and what you're doing and trying to help out and act as production assistants. And that kind of tells you that there's something that they wanted to be a part of, because they probably felt the same type of energy coming off the project from yourself and the people involved with the creatives and the actors and everyone else. And it kind of leads me to a segue of as the film ends at a beach. I understand that has a personal another personal connection for you and your mom. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a lot of personal connections, and yes, that's the exact location where I did that in the real life. It was totally different because I just like I entered the water and just like did something very different, but I wanted to use the same location and take my mom back there also in the film. So I was able to do that thanks to the people that own the place. And when I told them about the story, they changed it over time. So there were new people, but they got so emotionally moved by the story that I shared with them, and they helped us doing that there. And basically they are like our sponsor between us. They're among the people that sponsors the project, and they wanted to be in it, and they wanted me to film there because it has a very personal meaning and connection, because my mom, it's the place where my mom spent her last summer, and it wasn't actually frequent that she didn't go to the beach very often, but she loved the sea. And when she came out, basically she decided to spend the whole summer at the sea, and I was like, okay, let's go. I mean, she and my mother and my father went there, and I visited them every once in a while, and that's actually where she got sick. I mean, she was at the house by the beach, and she spent the most beautiful summer there, and then other things happened. She got sick, and it lasted like very few months, but she was there, and it all happened there. So it's very also weird, and that's basically the reason why I decided to have the main character sleep on the street. It's because it all happened when my mom was at the sea. Basically, she was on vacation, let's say, because we were doing reconstruction works at home, and she never saw her house again. So she just like kept her soul. I mean, her soul and her spirit is still there. So that's why I didn't want to have any connection between Luca and his real house. And he just goes there because of his father's birthday, and everything is different, but still his mom is at the beach. So that's why I decided to film there. And every time I see that scene, it's very emotional to me as well, because I can see her living there, and it's actually at the center of an artwork that an artist is just creating, portraying the little girl as like an angel living in a beautiful place that's actually that sea, and with butterflies floating all over her, birds chirping, and it's just like I want to see my mom right now, and it's a very special place. So I decided to do it there, and I'm very happy that the people that own the place were okay with that and that helped us.
Yeah, I can only imagine when you're filming there at that location, at the sea, at the beach, what was going through you emotionally. On one hand, yeah, you're thinking back to your own personal experience. On the other hand, it's a tribute to your mom and what you want from the end result from this film. But at the same time, you can't help but be overcome with emotion consistently. And I imagine it must have been like a roller coaster for you trying to film on that location, knowing what had happened with your own mother.
Yeah, absolutely. But I had the little girl taking all the attention of me because I was basically helping her because she didn't really like to swim, and it was one of the first times that she was in the water. So I was like, I didn't have the time to get emotional because she was needing my whole attention. And she was like the director in charge when I wasn't directing. So she was like the one. She was bossing people around because she's a very powerful little girl, but she needed me to be with her. So there's videos, and I haven't shared them with the audience yet, but where I'm actually swimming with her, helping her to do that final scene. And yeah, so basically that's what happened. But I forgot to say, it's very important for me because it's the story of my life, of the connection that I have with my mom. So that's really the main core of the film. But what I like when I talk to people, and also thank you so much for your words, is that everyone can see themselves in the story, and it's the story of all of us. It's the people we love, our loved ones, and we all love someone. And sooner or later, if these people are like our parents or even people, for example, I'm writing a movie on a disabled child, and my friend had a disabled daughter, and who died before her. And when you lose someone that you love, it's not really easy. And I just wanted to share this story with the audience and have everyone seeing themselves in the story. Not just it's dedicated to my mom, but it's also something that I honestly wanted to share with the people. And we all have the people that we love, and that's what means the most to me, to have people see themselves in Sissy, in the film, and think of their loved ones, and being able to see them as little kids having the time of their life. And death must not be the end of things, and there must be something afterwards, and that gives dignity to the people that for example got sick. And sometimes these illnesses tend to rip you off the dignity that you have. And it's the most delicate thing, because I saw my mom changes shape, taking a new shape. And that's the worst thing, when you see someone that you love that is suffering that much. And I just wanted to say, oh no, fuck that. I want to see my mom as a little girl having fun in another world. And that's just what the little girl tells her song when she breaks into the scene. And I want all the people that love and loved someone that they lost, I want to share this with them. And if I can get them to see their loved ones in a different shape and not think about them only in the very last moment of their life, that's my main goal. I want to, the beauty of the people and the people that we love lies in the moment when we see them laughing and smiling and having a good time. And life is beautiful. I mean, I wanted to find the beauty of life and to share it with the audience, not just thinking about death. And that's the whole point. I mean, I wanted to give I wanted to give to our loved ones and to their life the beauty that they lost due to illnesses or accidents. There's a bunch of different things, but people deserves to be happy and to have the time of their life. So that's why the little girl gets herself another name. She wants to be called Sissy. She wants to be at 7 years old. She doesn't want to be old. She wants to be she wants to be like a little girl, flying and bouncing all over the room, dancing. And the power is in in the beauty of life and in our mind ultimately. So why can't we do and be what we want? It's like that. Yes, we can. I mean, why not? Why do we have to always be sad and think about bad things or death? No, I mean, after that there must be something beautiful, and I hope that my mom is really in that beautiful garden with all the people that she loved, and with the butterflies and the birds, and in the water swimming, and that's just like I would like the people to see their loved ones.
Yeah, and I think I know exactly what you said, that this film resonates with people because they do see themselves in one of the characters or in the situation, especially if they've lost a loved one, like I have over the years. And I think it's something that is interesting, that even though maybe it's been brought up before in other films, what I really liked about your particular film is that I don't remember seeing someone brought back as a 7-year-old girl. And if I use my grandfather as an example, he was a band leader and he did a lot of things. He's into golf and sports, but I don't think of him that way. When he was like 20 or 30 years old, I tend to think of things when he was grandpa, when he was 60 or 70 years old before he passed on. And it's so interesting to see, you know what, they had another life before you, Mark, before I was around.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what the film brought out to me. So on one hand, it made me feel really, really loved, and something made me smile and have these really great thoughts about not just him, but other people in my life that have since passed on, about like, yeah, I remember when they were, doing what they were doing in, when they were 30 or 40 or 50 years old, or even when they were 7 or 10 years old, that there's this whole scope that you have to always remember. And it's so hard to do when you're going through grief, about not looking at just what recently happened, but it's like, if you look at everything, it's like, wow, there is some tremendous life that someone lived, some wonderful memories, people that they influenced and touched, and that kind of helps remind you of like, hey, things are going to go on, and you might be that person that is now influencing other people in your circle, that are looking up to you and having those memories, when you eventually pass on yourself, because we're all going to close the curtain at some point. So yeah, I think the film it touches on so many things in such a really delicate yet profound way. I think that's why it affected me so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. These words mean a lot to me, and I totally agree with you. And our loved ones, they all had a life before us, especially our parents. I mean, when we think of them, they were children, they were teenagers, they went through a lot. Actually, my mom went through a lot, and I wanted to give a voice to that, and to for her to feel able to come back to life. I mean, she does that only because she wants to save her son. Otherwise, just like she says in the film, she would just like to be in the magical place and having fun. But she comes back because she sees that his son is not doing good, and he's like doing drugs, and he's flipped the switch, and she just wants to help him, embarking on a journey of transformation in order for him to come back to life. And that's the main reason why she comes back. But she also tells him about her past, and it's something very powerful, because it's something that she never wanted for him to know. And she went to boarding school, she had a very tough childhood, and she always wanted to keep it away from his son. She never told him that, just like she wanted him to be away when she passed. She knew she was gonna pass sooner or later, and she just sent him away from her, just like it happened to me. And she never wanted to share her personal life and her sorrow, her bad experiences with her son. And she wanted to protect him, and she wanted to be a mother. But after passing, she just wants to be happy and finally have the time of her life. And when she comes back, she comes back in a different shape. That's why what's very funny when people watch Sissy and they tell me, and I'm very happy that they do, and that they feel it this way, is that when the kid breaks into the scene, when the little girl comes on screen for the first time, she's not really delicate, and she's not like a warm mother. She just like, she teases Luca, the protagonist, and she knows that he is doing drugs, and she just says, okay, give some to me. If it's nothing, why don't you give it to me? And she just she keeps dancing and floating around him while he's a little still under the effect of the drug. So she just wants to tease him and to make fun of him. And after a while, she tells him who she really is. So she's just playing with him. And that's very beautiful, because when people say, oh wow, this little girl is actually making a fool out of him in the first part, when she comes into the scene, and I say, okay, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted even for him to be played by the girl, and to, sometimes we just need like a tornado changing our life and putting it all upside down, and it's when we can see that we're doing something wrong, when everything falls apart, and she just comes like a tornado into his life and starts playing with him. That's a very powerful thing, and I'm very happy that people feel it that way. They don't think that she's like a kind mother coming to pat her son on the shoulder. She just wants to, okay, now you gotta do what you gotta do, and this is not good. What you're doing to yourself is not good. So she's very tough on him at the beginning, and that's very funny actually, and I like that people think it that way.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I see we have a question that came in from Gabrielle about, says, what about the main character? Did you choose him only because he is the little girl's uncle, or was he fundamental for you to process your mother's death?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm very happy for the question. Thank you so much, whoever did that. Basically, this guy, I told him his name is Vivenzio, is a tremendous actor. He's unbelievable. I saw him in a film about 5 years ago. That's how I met him. And that was before the little girl showed into my life as a 4-year-old at the time. And over the years, I followed his work, and he's been on TV, on an Italian TV series. One is on Netflix, and the other in a very important TV channel in Italy. And he's a great actor. And when I thought about this film, I needed to cast a guy that had both very deep and profound inner world, and it wasn't easy at all, because I needed for this guy to be very, very soft and tender and sweet, almost with a female soul, but at the same time very rude and very, I needed to find that contrast, that to see both a feminine side, but also a very tough and like a shield on top. And this guy is unbelievable, so I'm very happy. And then things just started to I started connecting the dots very easily afterwards, because she came back into my life and I chose her. Then I started to write this character, and actually her uncle was perfect. It's like that family was doing a great favor. They were doing something very magical to me. And so there were two all different things, and he was the perfect actor for the role. She was the one that inspired the whole story. And the other two actors, the father, Fortunato Cerlino, was the first boss of the Gomorrah series, that's very famous all around the world. And Mirella D'Angelo was an unbelievable actress, and she's marvelous too. I had the perfect cast, and they just started coming together in a magical way. So there was no connection between the uncle and the niece, even though they were uncle and niece. But when I write, I prefer to, I write characters that in a very Dorough way, and Vincenzo was the best actor for the role, so I'm very happy that I had the chance to work with him.
Okay, and I want to ask you really quickly, are we still good on time? Because I have a few more questions for you.
Yeah, it's all good for me.
Okay, cool. One question for me is, did you shoot Sissy in sequence in terms of how it ended up, or did you shoot it in different parts, like you did the beach first and you did the other scene, the bedroom scene second, or how did things come to fruition?
Actually, yes, I did, except for the father scene. It's actually the blue part was done before the pink part, and actually, yeah, I shot it in sequence. I didn't think about it. It will never happen again, because it's very, it's a very hard thing to do. It doesn't happen very frequently. But yeah, I did it in sequence. So the beach was the last thing that we filmed, and the blue part, the blue sequence was actually the first. So yes, I'm just coming up with it now, because I didn't even think about that before. So thank you for asking me. I know I know something now.
Oh, well, no, thanks for letting me know. I'm always curious about that, having a chance to talk to some other film directors over the past 2 years. And yeah, like you just said, it's so rare that they shoot anything in sequence because it's about logistics, location, availability, actor schedules, all that kind of thing, that it just doesn't.
Because I had a 7-year-old little girl. So, when I was done with the blue sequence, when the guy is alone, when the guy and his father are alone, then I needed, and it took like 2 days for us, and the little girl was like doing great things. When she started, the first, when she heard action for the first time, it was like she had been doing that forever, and it was very powerful to see her. She was very comfortable in front of a camera, and it was very easy. Not really easy because it was pretty, intense, different emotions. She was talking like an adult, so she needed to be directed and guided, but she was so smart that actually I thought that 2 days could have been not enough to film the whole thing, but she made it happen. So that's why I decided to do the blue sequence before the pink one. And yeah, it was thanks to her actually if we could do that in 2 days. It's really, when I think of that, I'm like blown away, because 2 days for all that she did in that sequence, and basically it's like half of the movie. It's unbelievable. So it's thanks to her. She's the perfect. She also helped the production, because it would have taken at least 4 days to do all that.
Yeah, no, that's amazing that you managed to get that footage in 2 days with her. And it makes me wonder too, that with the character that the 7-year-old plays in your film, did you try to just tell her what her scenes were and not give her the whole scope of the story, because that might be too much for her to take in and process?
Yes, exactly. But she's very smart, so she knew that she saw me in that bad moment when I bumped into her after 3 years. I told you I met her when she was 4, and when she was 7, she saw me again, and then she saw the grief that I was going through. That I was going through a very rough patch, and she saw that. So I think that she kind of knew what I was feeling and what I was going through, and she wanted to give a voice to that. Even though I actually didn't tell her the whole story, because it would be too much for her. But she also, because I needed her to be magical, so she did. Even though she knew, because I know, I feel that she knew. She could feel it in my eyes and in the way I was, trying to process the grief. So she knew that, she felt that, but still I needed her to be a magical, fair, and she was like a little butterfly lighting up the scene and bouncing all over the place like a fairy princess. And I just wanted her to be magical. That's what I needed, and what we all need. We don't need no more sorrow and suffering. There's a lot of people that suffer, and we have the we need, and we must, and it's not like a duty, but it's important for us to help them. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help the people that suffer and that feel the absence of their loved ones through something magical. And that's why The Little Girl is so important. And this film has this beautiful and special aura around it, is that I wanted it to be magical in order to help the people that suffer to process the grief, process their pain, and come back to life and see both life and the loss of their loved ones from a different perspective. And first of all, from a magical point of view, because that's the most important thing. We don't need to throw in the towel and surrender to grief and to the loss of our loved ones, but we need to process that and to help other people, in order to help other people to do the same. Because when you shut off and you just don't want to share anything with other people, that's the very first part of the journey. But then you have to flip the switch and say, okay, I need to process that, and there's other people to help. And for example, something that I haven't told anyone and I haven't said in other interviews, because I'm just going through that right now. I was just like I was saying, I'm writing a movie about a disabled child and that died, and her mother is actually she basically had two daughters. One was disabled and the other wasn't. Then the girl that wasn't disabled gave life to a disabled child. So my friend's nephew is disabled just like her daughter. Basically the aunt of this of her niece, basically. And I see that this woman, my friend, she helped her daughter, and her daughter passed away, and now she's helping the daughter of the other daughter, and her whole life is dedicated to help these little girls. And right now she just has one. And I see that that's the main point. I just wanted to do Sissy to show people that processing the grief and seeing that from a magical point of view can be important for us, but also for other people to come. And it's just magical. And that's why I think of the most important part is to help people process what life presents them with, and to empower them to get over the grief and to be happy again, because that's the whole point. And I'm right now working with on this beautiful story, and there's also a way to honor the people that we love. So that's the most important thing, and I'm happy that you saw that in the film too.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And that sounds like you have another upcoming project that's going to be equally emotionally invested for different reasons with the new project. And it kind of brings up a couple of questions. I have a random mind, so sometimes questions just kind of pop into my head.
I do the same. So we get along pretty well.
Great. One question for me is that you mentioned that you met the actress in the film when she was 4, and then you bumped into her again when she was 7, and she was kind of the impetus for writing the story, because you were going through such a tough time with the loss of your mother. Do you ever look back and think, like, what would have happened had you not run into her and she had not pulled on your hand and did something?
Wow, yeah, that's a very tough question. I was totally hiding from the outside world. I wasn't talking to anyone, and it's hard for me to say all this, because thinking of me even before my mom passed, even when before she got sick, she was so important for me, and I always spent very much of my time, a great part of my time with her, because she got sick, but before she had a few issues. So, but she was so beautiful, and she was such a special person that I wanted to be with her as much as I could, and I didn't want her to be alone with herself, even though she was my father, but still I thought that she needed my care and my presence, and that's basically the reason why I, just like I said, giving our attention and our care and our time to the people that suffer and to the people that we love is the most important part of our journey in this life. And without her, everything was like falling apart, and it's like the world crumbled down, and nothing had more had sense anymore. Nothing made sense anymore, and yeah, I don't know what I would have done without this little girl, but luckily she was a godsend. I'm sure she was a godsend, because when I was with the, basically we were rehearsing, and no, we were actually filming, and one night was very hot, and she said something about about the weather that my mom used to say when I was I believe I was like 10, and that's an expression that only my mom used to say, and nobody used that. I never heard anyone saying that. And I asked the little girl's mom if she could have heard that maybe on Twitter, on Instagram, by someone if someone ever used that expression, and she said no. We investigated for 2 days, and I just started thinking that it was like a magical thing, like a godsend, because she used the same expression that my mom used to say, but it was like she never met my mom, and nobody told her that before. So I was really flabbergasted, and to say the least. I was really mesmerized, but it was pretty shocking to hear that. And she's very, when she speaks, when she moves, when she reminds me so much of my mom, but still she.
Oh. Look like you froze there on my end. Let's see. Oh, hang in there, folks. We'll see if we can get Ethan back. Maybe it's just a internet connection or a Wi-Fi connection, because yeah, I see he just dropped off from us, and looks like he's back. So let's.
Probably the internet. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I was saying that something that means a lot to me is that I was able to do this film with her, also for her, because it's her first experience in front of a camera. And after Sissy, after she did Sissy, she's like winning auditions one after the other, and she's in like 4 different films. I mean, films and TV series, and it's all thanks to Sissy. So I hope that I will make her happy in the festival circuit. We're just like our team is expanding, and we have a few great events coming up, and I can't share them yet, but we're doing pretty good, and I'm very happy that I could do that I did that for the little girl too, because she's a beautiful and very special person, and the fact that I could initiate her as an actress, and that she's now seeing herself out in the world in the shape of an actress is pretty powerful to me. So I did something good for my mom, for me ultimately, but also for this little girl and for the whole story. So I'm very happy.
Yeah, I'm thinking about what you had said before the little internet break of how crazy that is, that she said something about the weather, that she didn't know your mom, had heard it somewhere else, and just said the same thing. It's almost like it was meant to be, that she was brought into your life, not only just for this project, but just into your life period.
Yeah.
And it came in the shape of a 7-year-old. I mean, it's like you couldn't, really write something like that. It's just so, life is stranger than fiction, as they say.
Yeah,
And
it is. It is.
yeah,
It is. Absolutely.
yeah, and for her to come into your life like that, and also that you just mentioned, for you to give her this platform that is now springboarding into other things for her, which is
I launched there basically, and
yeah,
but it was very funny because during the whole process, while we were basically getting ready to film, I used to drive her basically everywhere, all around the city of Rome, to dance classes, to rehearsals, to her acting coach. And she was like bossing me around. So that was pretty cool because, I like to have a great relationship with my actors. And when it comes to a 7-year-old little girl that bosses you around and wants you to buy popsicles instead of ice cream, or if she wants to go see a special place, Rome is beautiful and she's from Naples. So, I was like her tour guide, and I spent like a whole month with her, and she was so powerful that there was no time for depression. You can see that, I'm sure.
yeah, absolutely. And I've many years ago, I used to work as a teacher, so I've been around young people a good chunk of my life, and yeah, they bring different things out of you for
Yeah.
sure.
She was like a tornado. She was like a tornado. There was no way. She wanted to film. She wanted me to start filming before. I said, no, we have a schedule. We cannot, we cannot film tomorrow. We need to film next week from this day to that day. Okay, but I want to film. Okay, well, she is unbelievable. She is very. She's like a little princess, and she inspired me so much. And I changed it after while I was writing this film. I changed it even as a director and as a writer. And if I'm now able if I was able to do Sissy, and I'm now able to write the story that I'm writing, and not only that, it's thanks to the help of this beautiful little girl and her energy, her powerful strength. It's something very like a godsend, just like we said. So I'm very happy that we had the chance to do that together.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And as we get kind of close to wrapping this up, and I thank you for taking so much time to talk with me about this. I love these
Thank
kind
you
of
so much,
interviews. Yeah, I'm curious, when you finished the film, what were the reactions from other family members that watched it, or close friends that maybe knew your mom?
That's a good point. No family members has watched that as of now. That's a good point. I'm being very protective because it's something very powerful. My dad will watch it, not yet. It's not the right time yet. It's actually is the most emotional thing to me. The thing I no, I'm not scared, but it's very touchy for him to see this story, even though it's half real life, half fiction. Because basically it's the other way around. I mean, my dad in the real life is the one that wants to keep everything the way it was, and whereas before this little girl came in, and before Sissy, I was like him, even worse. Then I started changing, but he's like in that same place. So if he sees himself as a different man trying to move on, while he's not doing that at all, that would be pretty tricky. But I'm sure that. But as I said, it's the most difficult part for me to show my dad and my family the film, even though the film was not made only for me and for was dedicated to my mom, but just like my mom used to do in her life, because she was the head nurse at basically it's called it's a hospital for little kids that have leukemia. And she spent her whole life helping me as her son and other kids, as because she was like taking care of everything there. So we need to help other people. So the film was dedicated to her and to the love that I feel for her. But it's also a means to show the people that we can see our loved ones as little kids, and that we haven't lost them for good. They're not gone for good. They're always within us, and we can even smile and think that they're in a beautiful world, having the time of their life, so they're not gone for good. So that's helping other people. I just want Sissy to be a film that the people can feel within themselves. It's like it's their film. Every person has their personal attachment to the film, and I'm very happy that I was able to do that, not only for me and for myself and for my mom, but also and firstly to share with the audience so they can see themselves. I mean, the people can see themselves in the film, and it's like it's their own little film, and it seems like it's working pretty well. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, and again, I couldn't agree more of what you just said. That it's something. It's bigger than something that you did for yourself, for your mom, for your own reasons. It's something that's really become a almost like a therapeutic tool for other people, because they can immediately relate to some aspect of the story and what's going on with the characters, and it's done in such a delicate yet really decisive way. Yes, no, thank you for making it. I think it's something that, again, when people get a chance to watch it, that it will resonate with them. And I think even for myself personally, I was just kind of caught off guard by that when I was watching. So what is this film that I'm going to be reviewing? And as soon as it started, I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, I just got sucked into it. And then I started thinking about my own personal experiences and things that I've dealt with over life. And that's one of the beauties of cinema. I mean, you did something it's going to transcend your own story and your own reasons, and it's affecting other people. I mean, I'm in Seattle. I mean, literally around the world. And that's just amazing to me. And it's kind of speaking of, as we wrap this up, it's always interesting with short films, because how can people, or when can people see this? I mean, where would it show up? Because it's different than features.
Well, we just started our festival journey in Cleveland, and we have a few events coming up. One of them is an Oscar qualifying. I cannot say yet. So there will be chances at festivals, but also, there's streaming platforms both in Italy and worldwide. So we also have a great product. Basically, the producers team is pretty amazing. So they will do great things for the film to be seen by as many people as possible. And I'm sure that there will be many ways for even on platforms. I can name them right now, but there will be ways for the audience to watch it also on the internet. So that's my main goal, for people to watch it. I don't care about other things more than that. The most important thing is for people to watch it. Even when people ask me for the link, I send it to them because I want them to see and to feel the story. I don't just care about the festival part of the journey, but I want for people to be helped by that if possible. So I'm sure that the audience will be able to watch it on the internet pretty soon.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm looking forward to when it's has a wider release so that people can take this in. And again, it's a film that I highly recommend. And Eitan, thank you so much for taking the time today. I so thoroughly enjoyed talking with you about your film and everything else you have going on. And I'm looking forward to your next project as well, because that sounds very, very interesting to me as well. So thank you so much. And I wish you all the success in the world with everything you do.
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, let's stay connected. Absolutely.
Sounds good. Have a good night over there and take care.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.